Hey guys, it's Lee with Untapped Potential. Today we are back for part 2 of the campaign of Liliana Vess. Last time after her brother attacked her, she planeswalked to Innistrad. And today we're going to see what happens on her first adventure. You discover that this plane is called Innistrad. Here, you embrace the dark magic of necromancy in an effort to conquer death, which came so close to claiming you. Brimming with new power, you encounter the home of a hermit witch, a perfect opportunity to test your abilities. And test them we shall. We are up against the hermit witch. The opponent will be playing first, and we have a solid hand here with a 1-2-3 drop curve. Seems like a very good start. We go ahead and drop Shambling Goblin here. Control passes back. Our opponent is playing green. I suppose a witch living out in the forest might do that. We're drawing a lot of land here, which is good, so now we can effectively afford to play Cruel Revival later when we need it. We also go ahead and play Shambling Ghoul here. The more power we get out, the faster we can end this. Especially since our opponent seems to not be playing any creatures. So we go ahead and do our battle here, like you do. Get our opponent down to 16. Another Shambling Goblin and a Black Cat come into play. And here's where it all goes wrong. So our opponent plays a powerful 4-drop, a Festerhide Boar, which is a 3-3 with Trample, but it also has the ability Morbid, which if a creature dies the turn this comes into play, it comes in with 2+1/+1 counters. So we suicided with the cat here in order to make our opponent discard, but since they seem to have plenty of extra lands in their hand, they just go ahead and discard one of them. We double block here to kill it, but then our opponent plays another one, and thanks to the Morbid trigger, now we have to deal with a powerful 5/5. So we go ahead and destroy it, and we get our ghoul back. So far, so good. And we get in with the 2 little Shambling Goblins again. So in theory, we've managed to strip our opponent of enough resources, they probably won't have another potent follow-up play. And it doesn't seem to be. I think that's their Elk. It's a 2/2 that they can use to fetch more land, and here's an Orchard Spirit, which is more or less a flyer, which is irritating, but not insurmountable. We attack with both the 1/1s here, because if they block, the Goblin's ability to give -1/-1 will allow us to trade. The opponent blocks with none of their creatures, so we go ahead and vomit our whole hand onto the field. Our 2 ghouls do enter tapped. So the opponent attacks us, and we are in no position to block. So we take a quick 2, and here's a 4/4 Trampler with Morbid. Yay! And at this point we can't attack with anybody because the 4/4 will simply eat it. And now as we go to combat, the opponent attacks us with the 2/2 and the 4/4. We still can't do anything about the 2/2, but we go ahead and throw all 3 of our goblins in front of the worm, which should kill it and the flyer, except the opponent had giant growth, which they cast in response, and thus the big worm survives. And here's a Festerhide Boar with yet another Morbid trigger. So now we're dealing with a 4/4 and a 5/5 trample, and we don't seem to find anything that isn't a land. So now we are in a bit of a pickle. We go ahead and just take the 5 here, and our opponent plays another land. Gravedigger here might give us something we could get back to start mounting a defense, and we take Shambling Goblin, as his ability to give -1/-1 might allow us to prevail in some combat. But not yet. We have to pass. The opponent does another big attack this turn, and we decide to make some significant blocks. We block the 5/5, and for some reason I threw the Shambling Goblin in here. I don't actually remember what I was thinking by doing that. Point is, though, we managed to take care of one of our opponent's big creatures, but we're running out of power and toughness on our field to do it, and since his creatures have trample, we're also running out of time. We've been taking damage during each of these combats. And here's another one of the 4/4 Trample Worms. And here's another Swamp. So, as you've probably guessed by looking at the length of this episode, we didn't get this one on the first try. We look at how we can possibly make blocks here. We decide to trade for one of the creatures and avoid the damage. We get knocked down to a single life. We make our opponent discard a card they don't have, and as we top deck just another 1/1 creature, we decide just to go ahead and start this over. Okay, so we discover this place called Innistrad. Here we embrace the dark magic of necromancy, blah 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 blah, test our abilities. Okay, Hermit Witch, round 2. The opponent's playing first again, and this time we keep another similar hand which has cards like Altar's Reap and the ability to revive creatures from our opponent's graveyard. This will be important later, because we noticed last time that the opponent's creatures were better than ours. And, seeing as how this is all about necromancy and, we're trying to revive their familiar to use for ourselves, maybe the game was trying to sneakily say, hey, use their dudes to kill them. So perhaps the game designers are a little more clever than we think. The opponent plays their little familiar again, hits us for 2, which is fine. Currently we're winning this race, and a second elk, I missed the name, comes down on turn 2. We are not finding any mana, which is unfortunate. But we have the black cat here, which is all part of the plan. And we can sacrifice him with Altar's Reap to draw 2 cards and force our opponent to discard 1. Even if it is only a land, the sooner they run out of cards in their hand to use, the sooner we'll be able to start slow bleeding them to death. The boar comes down, but he doesn't have the trigger since no creatures died this turn. And we're going to go ahead and attack first here, offer him trades if he wants them. Since our Altar's Reap is an instant speed card, we can just sacrifice it instead. We actually sacrifice the goblin here to give his creature -1/-1. So now our 2/3 survives, and we managed to kill it. I'm not going to lie, I'm really proud of myself for that one, guys. It was pretty clever. Okay, anyway, so the familiars are attacking us again, and we just decided to let them go. Why I didn't block with the goblin, I'm not entirely sure. Maybe I just decided I didn't care. Or maybe I was trying to... Actually, I remember now. I was trying to avoid the morbid trigger, and here's a 2/4 that would have been a 4/6 with it. So clearly that was the right call. I go ahead and play the cat, and then I use a bone splinter to destroy his new creature, and I sacrifice the cat, which requires him to discard, which actually gets a sorcery this time. Totally worth it. I only attack with the cat here, as I want to keep my other guys up for defense. Because even though we're in a pretty good board state here, our opponent does have us down to 10 life. And here's a Dark Thicket Wolf, which he can pay 3 mana to give +2/+2 as many times as he wants. That's going to be tough to overcome. So we go ahead and play Carrion Crow so that we can get some damage through the air in the future. And in the meantime, our opponent plays another Orchard Spirit. Well, joke's on you, buddy, I've got the Crow. So as our opponent goes to combat here, they are attacking us with everything. And he has the requisite 3 mana up to pump the wolf. But we decide just to go ahead and do a big double block here. Since we're doing 3 damage to it, even if he pays it, we can then use the effect of our Shambling Goblin to kill it. So now we don't have to worry about that, but now we're down to 6 life. And at this point, I consider bringing back the Somber-Walled Spider. Except, I've got a better plan. I attack with the cat first, hoping the opponent will take the opportunity to block it. And they do. So now when I cast Rise from the Grave in the second main, I can take Somber-Walled Spider, which will enter with its Morbid trigger. So now I've got a 4/6 with Reach to defend myself with. The opponent attacks here, perhaps they have a pump spell, and they do, it's Giant Growth, which they use on their creature that was not blocked to reduce me to 1. They also sacrifice their elk in order to get extra mana, rather than simply let it die in vain. So we have the 4/6 and 1 life. So we go ahead and play Gravedigger here, and we go ahead and get back a Shambling Ghoul. We want to get as many possible blockers out as possible in order to, well, stay alive. I go ahead and hit with the 4/6 here, since I do have the 2 blockers, and the elk does not have flying or any form of evasion. Our opponent attacks here, and we do indeed throw our Shambling Goblin in the way, which we then use to kill it. Again, though, he activates its ability, sacrificing it instead. So the opponent seems to be drawing nothing but land this time, and we're going to continue to develop our board by playing another black cat. And since we have it to defend with, we're going to attack our opponent for 6, putting them at 5. It's a gutsy move, because it's not like green doesn't have trample in its color pie, but our opponent doesn't get there, drawing their 10th forest. We draw our 6th swamp, but it doesn't matter, as we now have enough power to win the game. We hold back Gravedigger just in case of shenanigans, but nevertheless we managed to defeat the witch, and we have completed our first journey on Innistrad and earned an achievement. With a creak of bones, the Hermit Witch's servant rises from the dead to serve a new master. Your command of the necromantic magic is undeniable. As you exult in your burgeoning power, you think perhaps it is time to return home to Dominaria, seek out the Raven Man, and exact vengeance. And that's what we're going to do. Stay tuned next time when we return to see what the mysterious Raven Man is all about and see where Liliana the Necromancer's path lies next. This has been Lee with Untapped Potential. Thanks for watching.